Well, hi there. Welcome back to my kitchen. I have been planting my seeds and getting sproutlings started for the summer garden. I've been super excited to see all the little green heads poking out of the dirt. I left myself a note when I did my garden planning that on the dates March 28th through the 30th, I needed to be planting these two plants. One, this is a trumpet vine. It's called a cypress vine. It attracts hummingbirds and it's a fast climber. It doesn't like to have its roots messed with once you start it growing. So I have purchased these biodegradable pots and I'm really hoping that the climbing vine will love these pots. My whole thing was obviously marketing. Look at that cute hummingbird. Oh my gosh. The other thing I'm going to be putting into the ground today, or into the pots today, is chamomile. This German chamomile smells lovely. Like if you just, I like to have my coffee in the garden, and when I walk by it, I just sort of rough it up with my hand, and I can smell my hand and also smell it in the air. It's so delightful. But beyond that, since I have been on a journey without alcohol, I have been on a tea kick. I have been loving making my own concoctions. My friend Jenny, she created some goji berry tincture that I've been squeezing into my teas, and it's been delightful. So this summer, a lot of the things that I'm growing herb-wise are specifically for tea, and I'm pretty excited about that. Well, I had to flip the camera around and show you my view. I'm ready to get these seeds in dirt, and I've been welcoming all of my new sproutlings. Meanwhile, it's still wintry outside. It's snowing. The garden is still snowy. Big flakes too. Good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. This morning I thought I would show you how I am gonna up-pot these beauties. Look at these. Are they not awesome? You can see some of them are shorter, some of them are taller, but they all have their second set of true leaves, so it's a good time. Anybody that is familiar with growing tomatoes knows the smell of a tomato. It is incredible, and it starts as soon as they pop out of the ground. Good morning, Z. At this point, the seedlings have already made it out of the ground, so you don't need to worry about having a seed starting mix necessarily. You can use regular potting soil at this point. They're just a little bit more tolerable to, you know, gritty environments, I guess you could say. So I'm using the seedling starting mix because that's what I have. Now I have fertilized these guys. Once they got their first set of true leaves, I did fertilize them once, and I used a dilute mixture of fish emulsion and water. And again, I don't measure. I just make it very dilute. I can barely see discoloration in the water. And then I do a full bottom water with the fish emulsion. And it's always seemed to work for me. And then, you know, I'll be more concentrated with the emulsion mix when the green plants get a little bit bigger. And the bigger they get, the more nutrients they need. And this soil is pretty sterile. There's not a lot of nutrients in it. So I will have to add a fertilizing regimen here pretty soon. I'm just impressed at how huge these got, and planted them on the 13th of March, and it is the 8th of April. So it hasn't even been 4 weeks, and they are, you know, they're nice big tomatoes. So, okay, I'm gonna get my boiling water. It's been boiling, and I'm gonna add it here. By the way, I love working in the mornings, the early mornings, and Gary's been having early morning work to do starting at 6 a.m. And it gives me motivation to get up and get going. And I just love morning. I also have prisms in every single window in my house because I love rainbows everywhere. In fact, if you don't have a prism in your window to shine rainbows in your world, who are you? Get one. Gary even has 2 in his office. Mixing that boiling water with my awesome wooden spoon. Jack the Pumpkin King. It's too hot to work with right now because it was just boiling water. But it cools off quickly when you mix it around. Also, my goal is to be killing off those fungus gnat larvae. And who wants little bugs flying around? Anyway, I'm going to mix this around, and admittedly, I'm doing it very slowly because who doesn't love to have their hands in the dirt? Tomatoes. You already know that I think they're awesome and they smell great. You also know, if you've watched my previous garden videos, that I've never really been successful with harvesting tomatoes here. I was very careful to choose tomatoes that had a window of like 60 to 90 days, and there are very few tomatoes out there that have short to maturity times. I mean, I've grown some pretty tomatoes, but there are so many beautiful varieties to grow. Yeah. Enough about the tomatoes already. We know you love them. Speed it up. Double cup method. That's what I'm going to use to transplant these tomatoes today. So I use solo cups. Took the time years ago to put holes. I said this was the double cup method. It requires a second solo cup without holes drilled in the bottom. And basically this cup with no holes is going to serve as your basin to hold water. I use marbles, but anything that's roughly the same size that you have multiple of. So I use marbles. So I put 3 marbles in the bottom of the basin cup. And then after I plant my seedling, which will have more room, not only diameter, but also depth. So when you stack the cups together, the marbles hold space on the bottom of the cup for water and for the holes in the underbelly of the cup to absorb the water and therefore creating a very nice root system. I'm gonna fill my cup with the holes in it with soil and lightly pack it down. And then inside here, I'm going to make sure I put a nice big, right in the center, a nice big hole, because I want to be able to really drop that seedling down in there. Okay, and then carefully, I'm going to pop out. This is probably the hardest part. Now, remember these seedlings, tomatoes are pretty resilient, but you just jiggle the pot a little bit and then they will come out. And look at these. I told you these are only 4 weeks in the ground. Kind of loosely fluff some of this soil out under here. But we want to figure out if we can. Now, if you do this too late, it's hard to figure out where the roots for each plant is, but you're going to do your best to just kind of make sure you have a good amount of roots for each plant. And you will tear some. And like I said, these tomatoes can be buried all the way up. Actually, I'm going to pinch off those first seed leaves. Those seed leaves are what come up first, just to start the photosynthesis process first. Okay, I'm going to bury this thing all the way. All the way. I'm going to bury him very deep. All right, and I'm going to push this soil in around it. In fact, I could bury it deeper than that. I'm not going to try to replace this one, but on the next one, I am going to bury it even deeper than this. Okay. So there's that one. I could probably have a more efficient assembly line here and have like a bunch of these ready, but you know, This is how I do. So back to the little sprouties, and I'm just gonna, I might have let these go just a little too long. We're gonna make the best of it. Okay, nice root system. I am not messing around. It's gonna get buried all the way. Get in that hole, get in there. We're gonna push it way down this time. Oh, it's perfect. So beautiful. Okay, and these are the moonbeam. Oh, these are the ones going in my garden. And honestly, moonbeam, you wonder why I picked that tomato? All finished potting up. I have a dozen tomato plants here. Ding, ding. And I have 10 tomato plants here and 16 tomato plants here. So if all of these grow well, which I anticipate they will, we will have an abundance of tomatoes. Good morning from my kitchen, where I am making a concoction. My boys would say, Mom's making potions. Anyway, a YouTube channel that I follow has a live stream every Saturday, and I happened to be around for it this Saturday, and I asked a question about using crushed eggshells. By the way, that channel is called Garden Like a Viking. I asked him how I can use crushed eggshells, because I've been saving eggshells since probably February, and then I save them, get a bowl of them, then I put them in the oven and just toast them to sanitize them. Then I put it in a mortar and pestle and I crush it, not like to a powder, but pretty fine. And now I have just poured 7 cups of white vinegar in this mason jar, and to it I'm gonna add 1 cup of eggshells. And then there's a chemical reaction that happens, and over the course of like a few days, the chemical reaction stops, and then you have a water-soluble calcium to add to a sprayer, and we'll see. I'm gonna see how it works. Here are my eggshells. This is several months of collecting eggshells. And the potion calls for a cup of eggshells to go into this mixture. And then I'm just going to put it in here. Okay, there it is. And it's supposed to be, you know, doing its thing in there. But whoa, little volcano there. Oh no, is it gonna bubble over? Oh dear, oh dear. Pop the bubbles, pop the bubbles. Oh shoot. Woohoo, we got chemical reactions happening. Oh gosh, hang on, stand by. Abort, abort. I had to change my container to a big gallon jug. Once this started exploding like a volcano, I remember very specifically that my friend Garden Like a Viking said, add the eggshells slowly or you'll find yourself with a volcano. So heed that warning, yo. Wow, that was a little bit crazy, messy. But I learned some things, and now we have to cover it, and then it just sits until it gets done bouncing around. He said it'll get done bouncing around and the water will become crystal clear, and then you strain it really, really well, and you can save it indefinitely. And 1 teaspoon per gallon in a sprayer. Good afternoon, coming to you from the edge of my still too cold to actually plant outside spring garden, where I am taking some of my green tomatoes and up potting for the second time. It's beautiful out. I might be really testing these babies with the wind. It's kind of bending them over. It's good for them. And I got this new work table outside that I'm super excited about. Let me show you. Here's my new little work table, and here are my green friends. And you can see, like I said, they're getting tested. The wind is blowing them a bit. What bird is that? I want to say that's a woodpecker. Do you see him? He's big. He's right down there. There's a magpie back there. What is he doing? He's trying to stay on the other side of the fence from me. Uh-huh. He's going to the compost bin. What's in there that you like, buddy? Look at him. He's pretty. Annoying sometimes, but beautiful. Hello. Hello, Magpie. My sweet familiar Z. I hung a lot of weird stuff around my garden, but a lot of stuff that makes noise on purpose because I thought might scare the deer. But then when the birds jump to and fro, they ring the bells. It's really pretty cool. Today is a great day for this little impromptu garden tour because it's gorgeous out here. All right, these are Maltese cross and they're coming in nicely. And this is a delphinium that my friend Kathleen gave me last year. It was just a little tiny guy. And she told me it was gonna come in great this year. And so far, she is not lying. This is a sedum of some sort, and I don't know what sort. It is at this point that I realize we just got a brand new camera. It's upstairs, and I'm not using it. Is this recording now? Except that this isn't paired. So shoot. Look at how handsome my fella is. Zizi, how old are you? 16? Holy manoli. That's an older bud. Just a quick update. The seeds. I kind of ran out of room underneath the big lights. And so they've been moved out to this area. They've been up potted once. They seem to be happy. We'll see how it goes. These have been in this window for a while. Look at these mimosa plants. They're sensitive. Aww, sweets. Okay, these are peppers. These are tithonias, but I think they look just like sunflowers. Rosemary, not grown by me, but loved by me. These tomatoes, this is a climbing vine of some sort. Cypress, it's a cypress vine. Yeah, see how pretty the little leaves are? Okay, so these tomatoes, they definitely got leggy. Now, they're gonna be fine, I think. There's a caveat because it is high altitude gardening, so I don't know if they're gonna be strong enough to survive outside. These guys did not have bright enough light from the beginning, so they reached, and now they're trying to hold all of this up without having any like strain on them from natural wind. So natural wind that blows them around creates a stronger stem, but they don't have any of that in here. And so I don't know, we're gonna have to see how they do. One of the first things I did when we moved in is clear out all the dead bramble up in this spot, and I'm really, really glad we did. Hammock up there, some stuff hanging in the tree. This is just a little natural water collection spot. I like to have water right in here for the wildlife because they do wander through here, and I like them to be able to have a drink. Bird bath. Okay, so in the garden, and here we are. So, strawberry bed, unfinished job in the back. Beautiful rock because it's my garden. Little birdie haven. Beautiful rocks all around because it's my garden. Love garden. Garden gate. Work in progress. Fire pit. Down to the little birds. Now, I kind of rushed this project last year, so I have plans to make it better this year. I wanted to have these more secure. I wanted them to be terracotta so they absorbed the moisture and not plastic. Queso. Cheese and queso? Queso cheese? I can hear the hummingbird, can you? Hear him? It's a good view. I feel so blessed and so humbled by this place and our opportunity to be good stewards of this land. Up my stairs. Pagoda. Rain barrels. I don't think my strawberries are coming back in this guy this year. Look at all my plants in the window. It's so funny. Hello, plants. Do you see my plants in the window? Whoop, whoop. Hummingbird. Blue flax. Beautiful rocks because it's my garden. The hops are coming up. They're finally starting. This is year 4. I want to say year 4 on these hops. I mean, come on. Rhubarb. This one I grew from seed. This one I grew from seed. These 2 over here, Lake City heirloom. These, I believe, are wild iris. I think that is wild iris. Go Bears and pretty rocks, because why? It's my garden. Okay, I'm down here looking for the wild iris because they grow along these rocks. There's some coming up. See them? Yes. Right here. Yeah. There's some more over there. They really like this area because you can see this is all iris deadfall. So really nice compost for them, and they thrive right here. And I'll show you just a couple other things while we're out here. Look at that beautiful habitat. Do you see, whoops, yeah. Do you see that ground squirrel up there? No. Here are the chickadees. They're my faves. They're so friendly. The chickadees are friendly. So we saw the iris. And here's a couple of mullein babies. These are 2nd year mullein. So they're coming up for the 2nd year, which means they will seed this year. They will flower and seed. So mullein is on a 2-year cycle. See all these sticks that are cut off? That's all thistle. And man, this area really is difficult to deal with, especially if I run out of time in the summer. But I have to come down here and cut all of this thistle head off before it flowers, just to try to control this. And my work has paid off over the last few years. They are getting better. My problem is I tend to leave just a few, like right over here. These are the ones I left this year because there were so many pollinators on them. And thistle seed, the birds love thistle seed. So yeah, I went ahead and let some over here go to seed, hoping that they would eat all the seed. Those right there, oh yeah, those are just nightmare thistles waiting to happen. The baby aspens are coming up over here. And yeah, I'm gonna have to prune them a little bit. Over here has a little natural bird bath. That's so nice. This rock is beautiful. Look at that rock, isn't it beautiful? Okay, this I think a little robin. Little mama robin was digging for worms in here. I saw her down here, and doesn't that look like worm territory? All black and rich and nice. Love it. Now this area clearly held water, and so at some point somebody dug irrigation ditches, which I really appreciate because, yeah, this area does not get flooded, so we don't have a ton of mosquitoes. Well, thanks for watching this video. It is now March 10th. It is Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all those mamas, young and old, and to my mamas, all of you, and especially my mom. I love you, Mom. Thanks for checking out Lake City Adventures, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.